One simple analogy is if you had a dirty, disgusting, filthy blanket that you hated, and you came to one of us and we had a brand new, shiny, clean, sparkly blanket to give you free of charge, and there's no strings attached. Notice that there would still be a level of resistance.
What's the catch?
What's the catch? And at least I know my stinky, disgusting, holy blanket. At least, and what that's saying is at least I know my depression. I know my, my low self-esteem. I know these things. I know I'm a piece of shit. So that at least is known to me. And it's funny because what we're talking about up here isn't anything, it's not even a trait. You already are the light, the shining awareness, but like clouds in the sky, if you've got beliefs covering up the sun, you're not going to feel it. So our work is basically getting you to take a look at what clouds are blocking you from seeing your natural beauty.
Cool. This is the question I really wanted to ask as much as anything else. And I think it really resonates with what we've been talking about. And that is when I started reading some of the Course in Miracles material, and particularly the Gary Renard book, The Disappearing Universe, there's a part in that book where he says, he points out that when you're sleeping in your dream, you're having a vivid experience. And I'm going to direct this to Dr. Lennox. You have this vivid experience, you're actually literally seeing a movie, but your eyes are closed. So what's seeing it? And to me, that brings about the question, who's dreaming it? Where is that self really happening? And that shocked me when I thought about that, because when we see our living experience, we take it for granted that it's real. But that dream, and that's why I love your work so much, that dream is just as real for you when you're in your bed and you're seeing it on some kind of interior screen.
If not more so, in a way, in its vividity, and it's in its magnificent creative possibility. The thing about dreams that are so extraordinary for people is that anything can happen. And when we become more lucid, someone was asking about lucid dreams. Yeah. I think one of the reasons, and I'm just getting good, I actually don't really like talking about lucid dreams because I have lucid dream envy. I'm just not much of a lucid dreamer. But it's very attractive to people these days. If you notice, you can't, spit in the air without landing on the lucid dreaming workshop. I think the reason people are so interested in having lucid dream experiences, whether they know it or not, I think it's that they're craving having more lucid living experiences, where they live in the center of their heart where all creativity emanates from. And I think that notion that in this inner landscape that is so vivid and so powerfully creative, where anything can happen, and probably will, and the fact that our eyes are closed, if we could trust the living world, that we've limited it to this thing called reality. And therefore, if it's reality, it's unchangeable. You cannot change anything out here. I am at the affect of it, and it is permanent and irrevocable, and whatever you do, you're doing it to me and at me, and I, how do I know? I can see it. How do I know you just did that thing? I just saw you do that thing you always do. So there is something kind of elegant about the idea of close your eyes. And I don't mean literally, because that would be dangerous, but trust your vision, trust your creativity within that vision. It's kind of, yeah. Do you want to get literal at it? I mean, if you take, and Gary's the most literal Course in Miracles teacher there is. These are people who believe in the illusion, that it's so illusory, this thing out there. But it's like, if you ever looked at the face of your beloved as it changes from a person you're hating in the moment because you're in a spiral of old wound ignited, letting that go and fall in love again. Well, you just transformed the illusion. We can do that at will, at any given moment with anything. The question really is just willingness. You know, I have an intimate friendship that, you know, we push each other's buttons, you know, but we're both really sort of good at the work. And so we get through it very quickly, and it's really beautiful to watch us both choose to let it go. And then fall in love again. I don't know if I answered your question.
I don't know either, we'll come back to it. But I loved what you said.
All right, that's good.
That's all.
Yeah.
What I like, Mario, when I looked at your website, there was something on here that I wanted you to expand on, and maybe you can relate it to what we were talking about, maybe not, I don't know. But it says, the way you can seek love can change, right?
Yes.
Can you talk about that a little more?
This plays a little off of what I was saying earlier about how our parents teach us about love. It may hurt, it may feel wonderful, it may make us feel warm and fuzzy, and make us feel lonely and neglected. And so we may have a very controlling parent, someone who withholds love or approval until we accomplish X. And it seems like the goalpost is always moving because, again, the object of the game is not to win, it's to stay in the game. People who have a thing about control, about being in control, are terribly fearful. They're frightened of love. They're afraid that if they love, that they will lose control, that they will risk loss by being open and vulnerable to love, and because they are at a point in their development where fear feels more real to them than love, where fear or control feels safer than the chaos and risk of love, that they stay locked into that. When we have a parent like that, we often tend to seek a controlling partner or someone who we can control, because sometimes we go with what our parents teach us, and sometimes we rebel against it by going in the opposite direction. Both leave you bound to your parents, enslaved to them and their ideas of love. It's when you begin to think for yourself and see, well, what does love mean to me? If I wanted love to mean something besides control or withholding or neglect or abandonment, how would I want to experience love? And then seek out that kind of love. Some people have been very wounded by love, and so they wall themselves off from it. These people don't seek love at all. They seek safety. But the safety that involves walling yourself off from love, there's nothing safe about that. There's nothing secure about that. It's like you're lost in space. You're lost in the cosmos. You've got no love to anchor you in your world, in yourself, in your life. So there's nothing safe about guarding yourself against love. So what's called for is a reinterpretation of what love is. What does love mean to me? What would I like it to mean? If love can mean anything at all, what would you like it to mean? How would you like it to experience? So when you start thinking for yourself and redefining love for yourself in accordance with what feels good to you, what feels right, authentic, real to you, that's when you can change the nature of the love you seek, and you start attracting different people. And sometimes that can be scary at first. You meet somebody who seems to love you unconditionally, and it makes you very nervous. Like, when are they going to show their true colors? When are they going to start judging me? Oh God, the suspense about when the other shoe is going to drop is just killing me. When are they going to reject me? You go crazy. So sometimes you even go to the point where you break up with the person because you just can't stand the suspense any longer. So to spare the pain of being rejected, you go first. And that's one way of doing love, but is that really what you want? Is that really what you want to create? So coming to your own definition of it, to let go of your dream of what love is or has been, to let go of the fantasy that you are doomed to replicate that experience of love only throughout your life, and to realize that you can experience anything. As I was listening to you, one of the elements that came to me was that a lot of people tend to confuse negative thinking with being realistic. Well, in a universe full of infinite possibilities, how realistic is it to focus on the negative? Say you've got 2 or 3 really bad worst-case scenarios that you're envisioning. Say that you've got, say, 360 degrees of available experience, and you're focusing on 3 degrees of absolute shittiness. And that leaves you with 357 other possible outcomes. How realistic is it to focus on the negative? So when we realize that our idea that love is going to hurt or abandon us, or that love means that I have to be a slave to this person, I have to give them control over me and my life, you think that has the flavor of the inevitable because it's what you're accustomed to. And it's simply a groove in your brain that's been run through again and again and again. And when you come to the realization that love can be something else, you can experience love in a warm, approving, supportive, loving, respectful, kind, merciful, and forgiving way, love starts to seem like a really good idea. It starts to seem like it's a pretty attractive proposition. I think I'd like to try that. So that opens us up to start experiencing that kind of love. Real love rather than the incredible simulations to which so many of us have been subjected.
Through the media.
Through the media, yes.